We continue on with the mailbag, but actually, real quick, Corey. So I thought we'd be able to talk about the rankings, but since it was Labor Day on Monday, they did not reveal the rankings. So we'll get rankings on Tuesday, later today. Everybody, we'll see where Florida State's ranked. ESPN's FPI, not a lot of respect though.
No, FBI is a joke. It's a joke.
It's unbelievable. Also, consequences to actions, kids. Storming the field cost the university $50,000, Corey, which I'm sure Peter Collins hasn't smiled a lot in his life when he's had to stroke a check for $50,000, but I think he's fine with that one.
Considering all the money they wasted last year on that football team, they would gladly pay $50,000 for that celebration on Saturday night.
Gotcha. All right, we go to Dalvinism. Wake up. So now that we've seen what this team could be, how does this change your expectations for them moving forward? Will you hold them to a higher standard than you were planning to a week ago? Because now 8-4 feels like it would be a real bummer. That ain't no joke. He's right, man. And then no blooded 06. Now that Florida State just rolled Alabama, is it officially time for fans to hop on the Gus bus, or is there still room in the overhead compartment for cautious optimism? So expectations, standard setting, have things been reset? I think that's probably what a lot of people are talking about in their group chats, people talking about on the message boards, obviously, Corey. So with that said, even though it's now September, this is the last winner for the August drawing that we'll do next time around for the Cummins Generating Discussion giveaway. Ends up getting into this drawing at the end of the month, which wins free Cummins gear. And they get entered into the end-of-year grand prize drawing for a free Cummins own-in portable generator. That's right, free generator. Without further ado, Corey Clark, the cameras have been on now for a second or two. Oh. But we need a little more juice, man. Can you help out over there, please?
Gee. And then just a little push of the button right there.
It is Generating Discussion. It's sparked by Cummins. Give them a follow on Instagram. It's all, just one word. It's Cummins Lifestyle. Give it a follow over on Instagram. See all the awesome things you can do with the own-in line of products. Tailgating out there, you need portable power. You need it to be reliable. You want it to be quiet. You don't want to bother everybody around. You want to be able to listen to the game that you're trying to juice your TV up to be able to watch it. So choose Cummins, everybody. A world power leader for over 100 flipping years. Stock price, I think, is also now eclipsed $400 if you're into that kind of stuff, Corey. So we're going to give it to No Blooded 6 since he hasn't won before, because we want to spread it out. But Corey, I mean, when you sit here and you think about it now, what is the expectation, I guess? And you seem to be trying to exercise cautious optimism. I don't know if I'm there, man. I think, man, playoff, and there's all sorts of big ideas floating in my mind right now. What's making you, I guess, take a step back and look at things from a more pragmatic standpoint? How do you think we should all kind of temper our enthusiasm after being in the doldrums for so long and then having such a fantastic performance last Saturday from the Noles?
I wouldn't say you need to temper anything. Like, go into the rest of these games thinking you're going to win and win comfortably. That would be awesome. Maybe they win every game by 2 touchdowns. When you watch college football here of the last 5, 8, 10 years, it is very, very rare that even the really good teams just roll every week. They just don't. Like, you're going to be in a game against a team you shouldn't be. And you're going to maybe even lose to a team you shouldn't. Almost every team in the country does it at some point. So, and the reason I'm cautiously optimistic, but it's just such a small sample size. I do think you should readjust. I don't think just getting to a bowl is good enough. And if they only get to 8 wins, that really means they only went 5-4 in their 9 games, and that's not good after how they looked on Saturday. So that would be a disappointment. So with that in mind, yes, that would be a disappointment. Like, it has been altered where if they finish this season 5-4 after 3-0, that will feel like a limp to the finish line, which you will not feel great about the season. You might feel good about the coach or think the good about the offensive coordinator and the defensive coordinator. We also don't know how those losses would happen, but I just think it was one game. It was a great game, and I do think now it is not outlandish at all to just expect to be in contention for Charlotte in November. When you play NC State in that last ACC game of the season on that Friday night in Raleigh, that should mean something. That should be for something. Clemson's going to be hard. Miami's going to be hard. We don't. Virginia Tech didn't look good. We don't know what they'll be in 2 months. We didn't know what Clemson was last year. They looked horrible in their first game, so and they didn't look good in this one. But teams get better, teams get worse, teams get injured. All that stuff will happen over the next 11 weeks to some teams. But absolutely, when you beat Alabama by 2 touchdowns, the expectations change, the perspective changes, and you should embrace that. Like go into this. Go now. Be a fan that expects to be 4-0 against Miami, and then go in expecting to beat Miami and be 5-0 and number 4 in the country. All that's on the table now because of what happened on Saturday. But will it happen? Man, we have no idea. It's just college football's goofy, man. Like there aren't many like I said, there aren't many teams to just roll through everyone. What if you're in a close game and you just have a bad snap and Tommy can't handle it? They fall on the ball and kick a game-winning field goal. Like crazy stuff like that happens. If you can get lucky and get some breaks and play that physical and stay relatively healthy, you should be in Charlotte, in my opinion, after having watched the first weekend. But it's one weekend, and teams do get what you are in November, what you are in September and late August doesn't always mean that's what you're going to be in November. But don't you think that, I mean, yeah, people should be – it would be crazy if everybody still had the same expectations after beating Alabama the way they did.
Trying to look here. So the last poll before championship weekend last year, because I'm trying to think, I don't want to get too ahead of our skis or whatever, but like it feels like Florida State probably is like maybe like top 10, top 15. Let's just say that. I mean, I don't even think that's being overly optimistic. I think it's being optimistic, but not overly optimistic. I mean, teams that were 11. I mean, here's the teams that were ranked 10 through 15 after the last regular season game of the year last year, Corey. Boise State was 11-1. They were 10th. Alabama was 9-3. They were 11th. Arizona State was 12th. They were 10-2. North Carolina was 9-3, 13th. Miami was 10-2. They were 14th. And then Ole Miss was 9-3. They were 15th.
Yeah.
So it just feels like you
should be in that conversation if you stay healthy, right? All that matters. But if you stay relatively healthy, there's no reason that you shouldn't be in that conversation because, again, man, if you end up losing 4 of your 9 games left against D1 opponents, that's not good. That's basically a coin toss for every game. Like you're going to lose 1 of them or 2 of them, but that should be about it. Like if you stay healthy, in my opinion, the way you looked on offense and defense, how physical you were, the fact that you should be able to run the ball on just about anyone, and maybe you can stop the run on just about anyone. And then I think they're coached well, and it's not an impossible schedule. I mean, it's hard. It's not impossible, but also we don't know what Florida is. We just don't. We don't know what NC State is. We don't know what Virginia is. We really don't know what anybody is. Obviously, after one game, but those teams have not played anybody that has a pulse. So we'll see what they are the more the season goes, and. We'll figure it out. I think you're still in a week-to-week proposition after these next 2, where I don't know that you go into any game, maybe the Stanford game, but that's still a weird, tricky, late road game. Yeah. You don't go into any game just assuming it's a dub as we sit here in early September. Maybe my mindset changes in the middle of October.
I think Wake Forest. I'll move Wake Forest up into that column. Yeah. But yeah, I guess what I was trying to say by the 10 to 15 window is I think the thing that you're just going to, what that data against Alabama is going to roll through, to your point, Corey, like teams don't roll through their schedule. If you're one of the 3 best teams in the country, you kind of do, right? Florida State did in 2023. They were probably one of the 3-4 best teams in the country.
Yes, they were.
What a boardroom of people in Grapevine, Texas had to say.
You know what's so screwy about that real quick? I know we're not relitigating the snub. Why was Florida State ranked ahead of Georgia? How did that happen? Like, you thought Alabama was better than Florida State. Yeah. You thought Texas was better than Florida State. Georgia had been number 1 the entire season and lost a championship game by 1 possession when Ladd McConkey and Brock Bowers were not healthy. Yeah. And all of a sudden, Florida State sneaks in there in front of them. Like, own it. Say you think Florida State sucks and have all the SEC teams ranked ahead of them. There's no rhyme or reason or rationale to why Georgia was ranked behind Florida State if you're using their stupid standards for ranking Florida State behind Alabama. Anyway, go ahead, Aslan. Sorry.
Yeah, I just don't think that, to your point, like they're going to find themselves. Like, I think like Miami Pitt's tricky. I think Pitt coming after Miami, that's going to be probably tricky. I don't think you are that much more superiorly talented than everybody else on your schedule where you're going to blow through them. So there will be, listen, man, like Gus's offense is like, they do this, man. They look incredible against Georgia and then Alabama, but then in between they stall out against Ole Miss. They stall out against like Arkansas. Like it just, and that's not a knock, but that's Ryan Day's offense does.
Yeah,
that.
They all do that. I would say this, what gives me a little bit more hope about avoiding stuff like that, again, with the caveat that they stay healthy, is if you can run the ball, your offense is going to have mostly really good days like that. In that, so the 2023 offense was just solely dependent on Jordan Travis, really, the most of the season, and Trey Benson hitting a run or two. But if you don't have to depend on one player, your quarterback, to have a great game, seeing it and doing everything correctly, if you can just line up and know you can run the ball, it's such a comfort blanket, man. It's such a security blanket that gives me hope that maybe they avoid the really stalled out. Man, what happened to Florida State? They only scored 13 points. Like what happened? I just, as long as you have these athletes getting these many touches, and you have an offensive line that can block like this one apparently can, you're going to have a lot of pretty good days, I think.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, though, man. If they go into Charlottesville, if they go into Scott Stadium on a Friday night and they win that game comfortably,
buddy, I'm all on board.
Yeah. I'm like Miami will be tough still. Clemson will be tough. Florida will be tough. But I absolutely believe that they'll be able to handle everybody else, and they probably will be able to win
one of those games, maybe all of them. Who knows? Yeah.
And then if you win one out of those three, I mean, even if it is the Florida game and you lose like your two ACC games, I think you'd probably end up still in Charlotte. I don't think both Clemson and Miami would go unscathed. But we'll see, man. We got a long season ahead of us. The great thing is that we don't need to really be all that creative and trying to think of how great it can be, Corey, because of the way they looked on Saturday. And you don't have to get too creative about thinking about all the cool things you can do on your off time, because you've got portable power in your hands with Cummins. Check them out over on Instagram. Cummins Lifestyle. It's all one word. Enter every single week into the Renegade Express mailbag.
Buy some stock. Buy some stock too, right, Aslan? That stock keeps going up.
Or that. I wish I would have gotten in a few years ago.
Ground floor.
Yeah. Anyhow, best question every single week gets entered into the monthly drawing and the end of year grand prize drawing for that free portable generator. Get involved, be a subscriber, warchant.com, and generating discussion sparked by Cummins.